Hi, my name's David. I'm owner and car expert here at Motorenn. I'm in front of a blue 2019 McLaren 720S Performance Coupe. I'm happy to share with you a little bit about the car and my thoughts on it. To be upfront, I like the car. It competes well in its segment against the Ferrari 488 Coupe and the Lamborghini 580-2. In today's market here in 2024, price-wise, they're in the low 200s, which is a little bit of a discount off of the Ferrari 488 and in line with the Lamborghini Huracan. A lot of depreciation has already taken effect on 720, and at this price point, I think it's very attractive. When we compare the three of them, the 720S is the most track-oriented, sporty of the three, whereas I would say the Huracan has the best sound with the V10 engine, and the Ferrari 488, ultimately, it's a Ferrari, and it's also more daily livable. The 720S, though, again, it's got so much more going on for it than just being sporty. Of the three, it has the most horsepower at 710. And when you get on the gas and the turbochargers kick in, you really feel that thrust behind you where it almost feels like you're teleporting on the road. So to keep it street legal, you don't have much of an envelope to work with. On the racetrack, I haven't had a chance to take it, but clients who sold these vehicles to have, and they say this car performs like none other. Maybe not as solid of a reputation and pedigree as Porsche with their GT3s, but in terms of hypercar levels of performance, this car is it. I think really cool things about it, obviously the dihedral doors are kind of McLaren's signature, but that does present a couple of packaging issues depending on your garage situation. And that tight carbon fiber tub creates wide sills where maybe it's not as good for date night. So just be aware of that as you're looking at the McLaren 720S. A couple of other things to think about it. I know we get a lot of feedback that people are concerned about maintenance, especially major issues with the McLaren lineup as opposed to Lamborghini or Ferrari. Not that they don't, but that's just the biases in the industry. What we've generally seen is a lot of that had been built off of some of the issues on the McLaren 12C and the 650S, where you had issues with fogging of the headlights, the iris infotainment system dying on you, the climate control system's dying on you, the cam phasers in the engine going poorly and costing $5,000 to $10,000 to work on, and the accumulators going out, which are kind of some of the components to this very trick pneumatic suspension system on the McLarens. By the 720S, they pretty much gotten rid of all of those issues. We don't really hear about it too much, except for accumulators still potentially go out here and there, but that's more of a $1,000 to $2,000 repair, which at this price point should be manageable. Not to say that there aren't nightmares that do occur, but generally, we've been pretty pleased with the quality that we're seeing on these vehicles. Some other cool things I really like about 720S, obviously you can get into track mode and the dash comes down. It's very cool, but it's also kind of a gimmick. I don't always utilize it, but when I do get to play around with it, it is fun. And at this price point, you do expect some of these kind of unique components to the car. And then I'd also like to highlight for those audiophiles in the audience, the Bowers & Wilkins option on these vehicles is actually pretty good. It's not as good as a Mercedes with their high option B&O sound system, but it is definitely light years better than Ferrari's even upgraded JBL sound system or Lamborghini's upgraded Sensorum sound system. The quality, sound, volume across the board seem better. Another thing to remark on that I've noticed working in the industry, of course, the McLaren comes in three flavors. You have a base version, then typically people option the performance version, and there's also an opportunity to option a luxury version. The name implies that performance gives you more on-track performance, but it's actually not true. The only real difference between the performance and the luxury and the base is a little bit of trim, and by that it's not even kind of real aero changes or anything like that. On the performance, you get a couple of outside pieces replaced with carbon fiber, and then on the interior you get Alcantara. You get an Alcantara steering wheel as well, which actually gets pretty gross after a few years of use. So I would say buyer beware or owner beware of that about the steering wheel. The luxury, it's a terrible name for a performance car, and I think it turns a lot of people off. All that does really is it adds leather to the interior. So it's not any softer, you're not getting an old man vehicle, you get leather. And in many instances, that leather actually wears better. And that's actually my preference in the segment. Because typically you can find it slightly discounted versus the exact same performance type specification. So in my view, the performance package is exciting and does potentially hold better resale value down the line, but the luxury package with its more durable leather surfaces is actually what I would prefer to utilize every day. And lastly, I want to talk about where they are sitting in the market today. Right now, what we're finding is 2018s, 2019s in the coupe configuration with decent miles and decent equipment are in the range of $200,000 to $240,000. Compared to when it started out new, they had a base MSRP of about $285,000 with some ultra high option versions closer to $400,000, and that's pretty much ticking off every carbon fiber MSO check you can. You don't need to go somewhere that high. But in today's market, you're seeing them down in the low twos, which is very competitive against the Lamborghini Huracan 580-2, which started out at a $200K MSRP, optioned up to somewhere around $240,000, $250,000, and in today's market, sells at about the same price. So you're getting a lot of car with the McLaren compared to original MSRP. The Ferrari 488 also started at a lower base MSRP of about $250,000. We typically see them optioned up to about $300,000, and they're still commanding values in around the $230,000 to $250K price point. So a little bit of a premium over the McLaren and the Huracan. So with that, I think in today's market at the money, it's very good value. Longer term, there is a floor for where it goes. So the depreciation looks like it's very much so slowing on this car. So if you can find one with good options, decent mileage, at a good price, it's a car that you should be able to enjoy. So if you like this type of content with a little bit more of an industry insider vibe in terms of what we like and don't like about these vehicles, feel free to subscribe as we create a little bit more content about exotic cars and premium luxury vehicles, and look forward to seeing you on the next one.